Let's take a look at the Page Actions toolbar. That's where that edit button is that lets us know we're in the edit mode. To the left of that, we have preview, and all that is, if we click on that, is a preview of our page as it should look on the website once it's live. I'm going to skip some buttons now, and I'm going to go to this light bulb icon. That's our check-in, check-out button. So each user has their own user account, and only one user can edit a page at a time. And to do that, they need to check out the page. So if you've already started editing, you might notice that that light bulb turns yellow. Let's click on that now. And you'll see that once I click on it, the light bulb turns yellow. I have the page checked out, and we get 3 new buttons. We get versions, page check, and save version. Let's click on Save Version. Maybe I've made some big changes. When I click on that button, I get a version description box that I can fill out. Maybe I fixed a bunch of broken links. And we have a successful notification at the bottom that worked. If we click on that Versions button now, we go to a list of all the previous versions that we've saved. We have the number on the left, the date and time that these versions were saved, the user who saved them. To the right of that, we have a description. So if they filled out a version description, that's there. And then to the right of that, we have options. And with those options, we can view old versions of the page. We can compare old versions to the current live version of the page, and we can revert back to those versions. So if we ever need to go back, if there's something wrong with our page as it is now, we can revert back to an older, safe version of the page and work on what's wrong while having a live, functioning version of the page ready to go. When we're done there, we can click out of that. I'll go to Preview, and I'll click on that button that's in the middle of Versions and Save Version. That's our page check. And you'll see once I click it, automatically the accessibility checker starts running. But we also have a spell check and a link check. We also have a W3C valid check. That's a current web standard checker. You can run any of these checkers if you want, but automatically the accessibility is going to run every time. And you'll see it says we have some results there. We can click Show Results to see more details. We don't have any known problems, it looks like, but we do have some potential problems. And what that's telling us is that depending on the context of this content, it may or may not be an accessibility issue. So we can scroll down, it gives a little description, and it tells us that if we're using the content in a certain way, that it is or is not an accessibility issue, and we can change that if we need to. The big thing we need to look for, though, are known accessibility issues. And if you see those and you can't figure out what those are, you can always fill out a web support request, and we can help you solve that problem. When we're done with our checker, we can click Close. And if we go back to our Page Actions toolbar, we can click Source. And what that is the source code for the entire page. So that includes headers and footers. To the right of that, we have Properties. And if you looked at the multi-edit already, you've been in Properties. At the very top, we have Parameters. And with that, we can edit the title and metadata. So things like title, description, keywords, and tags. And if I want to add a tag, I can start typing. If it's already been used, it'll pop up below. I can click that or remove it. Under that, we have in custom settings, we have a page heading, so we can change the text that shows up at the top of our page. And then down below that, we're using a landing page style for our page. And so we only have one option, and that's to remove or add the navigation button. So I've removed it and it's gone. If I add that back and click Save, we'll see that button again in the top right. If I go down to reminders now, I can schedule different reminders or stale reminders. That way I get notifications that let me know that maybe I need to update this page. Maybe I need to check and make sure the content is current, that everything works. It may not be a page that we look at a whole lot. And so setting those reminders can be really helpful. And below that, we have log, and this is just a log of all of the actions that take place on that page. The log tells us what change happened, when it was made, and who made it. The last thing we'll do, so once we've made changes and we like what we see, we're going to publish our page and make that live. I can go ahead and publish, or I have a drop-down menu with some extra options. So the first option is schedule. If I want to schedule that page to go live at a later date, I can do that. We also have expire, which works very similarly in that if I have a page that needs to be removed from the website at some point, maybe it's a page for an event and that event is over, we need to remove that from the live version of the site, I can expire that page or set that page to expire at a later date. And then in the middle there, we have submit for approval. Maybe I make changes to content on a page, but I want my boss, I want someone else to take a look at it. I can submit that for approval to any other OU user, and they can take a look at that. They'll get a notification and be able to take a look at that page and publish that if it's ready to go. We'll go ahead and click Publish, and you'll notice that we get a new pop-up here with some tools that we've actually just seen. So when we publish a page, it's going to run the page check, and that accessibility checker will run automatically like it did before. And then we have a version description. So every time we publish, it's going to save a new version. Either of those tools, you don't need to run them right before you publish because you're going to do that anyway. So we can add that version description in there, and when we're ready, click Publish. At the very bottom, we'll receive a successful notification with a link to the current live version of the page. So now we can click over, get a good look at our page as people are seeing it on the website, and make sure everything looks how we want it to. And if we're all good, we'll move on.